Today, I'm showing you how to make the easiest crumb-topped apple pie. It's the perfect recipe for apple picking season. The best part about this recipe is, though, you don't need to fuss with a traditional pie pastry. I'm going to show you my trick for getting a great homemade crust without the work. I'm Christina from It Is a Keeper, and I share tried and true recipes that anyone can make, like this crumb-topped apple pie. It's loaded with cinnamon apples and topped with a flaky crumble. So let's start making our pie. The trick to this easy crumb-topped apple pie is to make a little bit different crust, and we're going to make it right in this pie plate. So no extra dishes, we're not cutting butter or shortening or anything into it, we're not rolling out a rolling pin, nothing. Wait till you see how easy this is. So we're going to add some flour to our baking dish, right there. I told you, no extra dishes. A little bit of sugar for some sweetness, a touch of cinnamon, and just a bit of salt. That's it for our dry ingredients. We are going to mix this around a bit just to get everything incorporated. All right, that's looking good. Now to this mixture, we are going to take some canola oil and some milk. I'm gonna mix those together. You can just use your spatula. No need to make extra dirty dishes. All right, that's looking good. Into the pie plate it goes. Easy, easy, easy. We're gonna mix that all up together. Now because it's a shallow dish, I have to watch that I don't slop it all over. Okay, when I get to this point, I just go in with my fingers. We're gonna be using them anyway, so might as well get in there. I go as far as I can with the spatula, and then we go old school. I'm just trying to get all the flour off the bottom, off the edges. Just don't want any pockets of raw flour lying about. All right, that's looking good. So I usually run my finger too right around these. I have ridges in my pie plate, so I just like to clean the extra flour out of those ridges. Okay. So once you have your dough comes together, we're going to take about 1/3 of it off and we're going to set that aside. So now we have 2/3 of our dough and we're going to press it right into the pie plate. We don't need a super thick coating. So just use your fingers. It's going to take a second to get it. I find that fingers are the best tool for this. You want to go up the sides and just work it around. You don't want one spot too thick and another spot too thin, so you want to try to keep it as evenly as possible. And if you find that you're pulling away from the bottom or the sides, just press it together from another spot. Very forgiving. And remember, this is the crust. You're not going to see it. I have made this pie so many times, and people cannot believe that the crust is not a pastry crust. I just try to clean up the edges. You know where the dough tends to pile up is right along the edge here. So I always kind of go around that way towards the end to make sure that it's not too thick in that spot and push it up. All right, this is looking good. Okay, that's it for our pastry crust. I'm going to set this aside and we're going to move on to our filling. Now we're moving on to the filling part of our apple pie. So here I have some apples already peeled, cored, and chopped. So I'm just going to finish up my last one. Now you want to make sure you use an apple that is somewhat firm. You don't want one of those dainty apples that's going to fall apart when it's baked, because it's going to bake for a while in the pie. So we want a nice firm apple. I like to use either these are Snapdragon, they're my new favorite apple. So if you can find those, it's great. Granny Smith works great. They are very tart. Jonah Golds are nice. They usually tell you in the grocery store which ones are good for pies. You want to look for something that has some sweetness, a little bit of tart, and that has a nice firm texture. Okay, so I have my apple peeled. Now we're just going to cut it into slices. I find it's easiest to just cut around the core, right? No sense in making more work for ourselves than we need to. And then cutting that into slices. So we're looking for about 4 cups of apples total. Now that's going to depend on how big your apples are. So I can't give you an exact measurement and say, oh, get 6 apples. You just use 4 cups, so whatever that translates to with your apples. So to this, we are going to add some sugar. Get that all in there. I'm going to give it a bit of a toss. And we're going to pop this in the microwave for 2 minutes, let the sugar and the apples start to combine, and then we'll move on. Okay, so our apples have done their first spin in the microwave with the sugar. Now we're just going to add a little bit of flour to help thicken some of those juices. Again, I'm going to give that a quick toss. You can already see the apples releasing their juice with the sugar. It's a wonderful thing. And then we're going to pop it back in the microwave for 2 more minutes. All right, so our apples are done. You can see a lot more juice has come out. So I'm just going to get some of that flour from the edges mixed in. Make sure everything's combined. And you can see the flour is already starting to do its work. This juice is nice and thickened. Okay, a couple more things we're going to add here. I have some cinnamon, little bit of salt that helps counteract the sweetness, and a shot of lemon juice. So I like to just squeeze it right over my hand just to catch any seeds that might be in there, which we had a few. All right, and then another quick stir. Now that little bit of lemon juice just helps balance out all that sugar and cinnamon and bring everything together. All right, so that's it for our mixture. Pop this to the side. We're gonna bring our pie back in. So we have our pie crust, we have our filling. We'll do the big transfer. Get it all in there. Spread it out in a single layer. You can already see how those apples have cooked down a little bit. That's okay. All right, last step is we're going to bring back that pie dough that we set aside. Remember we set aside 1/3 of it, and we're just going to crumble it on top. I told you this pie was easy. I didn't lie. So simple. You can whip this up in no time. You get back from the apple orchard, picking apples, or the farmer's market, or even the grocery store. Grocery stores have great apple selections now, and so many of them are from local farms. All right. I'm just distributing it as evenly as possible across the top. And that's it. Now we just need to pop it in the oven for about 40 minutes, and then you'll see we will have a beautiful crumb-topped apple pie. Okay, so our pie has baked and cooled. So it's important that you let it cool, because when it comes out of the oven, I know warm apple pie just sounds so perfect, doesn't it? But if you eat it while it's still warm from the oven, those juices are gonna go everywhere. You wanna give it time so the juices can set up and everything can like come together and be all yummy. So we have it cooled here. I'm going in for a slice. Oh, I can feel the knife going through. All those delicious apples. All right, now if my mom is watching, I know, Mom, I should be using a pie wedge to get the pie out, but I like to use my little spatula. You know me, so don't yell at me when you see this. She always does. Okay. Just look at that. Who needs a pie crust? I'm telling you, this is wonderful. Now, you could drizzle caramel over top of this. You could do cheddar cheese. You could put a dollop of whipped cream, serve it with ice cream, or you can just take your fork in right there at the end. I love apple pie. This is so good. The apples are perfectly sweet and cinnamony. The crust just melts in your mouth. It's wonderful. Now you want it warm? Pop in the microwave for a few seconds and warm that bad boy up, but definitely let it rest. You guys are gonna love this. This crumb-topped apple pie is definitely a keeper. So I'm curious to know, cheddar cheese and apple pie, ooh or ew? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want another easy pie, make sure you check out my crumb-topped blueberry pie. Thanks for watching. You can get the full printable recipe in the video description below. I'll see you next time. Bye.